Hi, I'm Bill, and we're going to walk through an Educate's installation on Google Cloud using the Educate's CLI. First, let's talk about the prerequisites. So on Google Cloud, we'll need to set up a virtual private cloud, or VPC. Then we need a Kubernetes cluster. This will be using the GKE installation. That's using that virtual private cloud, and it's also attached to storage. We also need Ingress configuration, including a root domain and a cluster domain configured on a DNS node in Cloud DNS. Then we also need some IAMS configuration for a service account with the necessary roles such that Kubernetes will be able to access the Cloud DNS provider. So what does the Kubernetes configuration look like? So if you look in the bottom quadrant of this screen here, you'll see that we have a cluster named Demo4 cluster. You'll see here in the Kate's revision that we have Kubernetes version 1.3.1 using GKE. Now, if we look at the workloads here, you'll see various workloads. Most of these are installed by GKE. See kubedns for internal DNS. We have auto scaling and some observability components. If we look at the DNS configuration, we have this. We have a subdomain GCP on top of the Educates Academy root domain. You'll see the name server records that the DNS zone is configured, include these 4 Google domain servers. Now, the root domain is actually not homed in Google. This is homed over at Namecheap. So you'll see the configuration here. You'll also see that after configuring the DNS zone, we've configured the same subdomain records. These are delegate records that we put at the root domain, such that any DNS lookups, when they come back, they'll start with the top level domain, propagate back to the root domain. And this will tell the root provider where to delegate the name server request to the GCP subdomain. And if we want to see how this works, we can do a search here, and you'll see that indeed we can actually submit DNS requests. We actually get the name servers back. All of these match what's in the Cloud DNS zone. So that proves our propagation works. Now, when we talk about the Kubernetes workload access to the DNS provider, that's where we have these service accounts. So you'll see that this is an example of one for what we call cert-manager, which we'll discuss a little bit later on. You'll see this actually has an associated role for workload identity user. And workload identity is actually a feature of Google Cloud that allows to map access from a Kubernetes service account back to an IAMS account. And likewise, if we look at the policies for that, we'll see that for cert-manager, it's also allocated to the DNS administrator role. So this allows that IAMS account and subsequently delegated back to the service account, it will have access to Cloud DNS. So that's the prerequisites. So what's going to be installed when we run the Educates installer? 3 categories of components. We have Ingress related, we have security policy engine, and then we have the Educates operator. And we'll actually see examples of this next. All right, so let's actually take a look at the configuration next. So if we look at, whoops. All right, so we'll see here this YAML document that we see here. This is specific to the Educate CLI. You'll see this provider. This should clue you in that this is for the GKE installation, and probably clue you in that Educate CLI supports other providers as well. For example, Azure, AWS, local kind, virtual cluster. And then you'll see the GCP segment here with all the attributes, the project for the Google Cloud project, the URL associated with the Cloud DNS zone. We already talked about the workload identity. We've seen the cert-manager as an example. There's another one for external DNS process. Cluster security policy engine, Kyverno, this is our default. And then the cluster ingress that will actually will be homed on the GCP Educates Academy subdomain. Okay, lastly, we're going to perform the installation. So Educates, deploy platform, config, GKE, Educates config YAML. And we'll let that run for a few. Okay. And you see it running, you'll see here, cluster roles, RBAC. Educates has a pretty sophisticated security model, so you'll see that it accommodates for access control, not just application workloads. You'll see here that the cert-manager component, this is used for TLS certificate management. And project contour, this is for Ingress. You'll also see Envoy, which is also for Ingress. That's part of the contour deployment. You see that there's daemon sets involved too, so let's actually take a look at that. Yep, project contour envoy, replicas 3. That should clue you in that that's with the, let's look at nodes. So we have 3 nodes. Let's go back to deployments. See more cluster roles namespaces are created. These are around Kyverno. Now we see Kyverno workloads being created. Right now we're getting into the educates. Yeah, we're getting into the educates operators here. So secrets manager, session manager. These are related to the operator. If we actually dig into this and we look at the container name, you'll see operator. Same thing with session manager. You'll also see above image puller, this is a daemon set. And you see these are involved. And you'll see that these things are actually pulling some of the key, what we call base images for educates. And that's doing it on a per node basis. Let's go back to deployments again. Okay, both these things are running here. It's looking good. Now you'll see that we're waiting on image puller right now. Okay. And that is it. That is the Educates installation. Now, in this video, we're not going to do the verification. We've cut this into two. Verification roughly goes about the same time. So, video right after this, check that out. That'll be actually more generic than just Google. That'll cover verification of Educates, regardless of whether or not it's done via CLI or via more of a GitOps style with Carvel. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Hope it helps you out. We'll see you in the next one.